Another day, another project. You know, with that storm the other day, our greenhouse, or not our greenhouse, our high tunnel got just destroyed. The first 3 arches basically just ripped to pieces. So there's no salvaging them. And instead of us buying more pieces, we're going to be adding another greenhouse very soon. So instead of investing in this one more, what we're going to do is just cut off the extra bisqueen, cut off the that part of the greenhouse, and just take those arches, and we'll be able to, you know, reclaim some of it, use some of it for parts, but for most part they're kind of destroyed. So we don't want to put extra money in it. We're just going to hunker down on tightening up what's actually there. It will make it from 50 foot to, it would be around 38 foot because of the way those arches are put in. They're about 5 to 6 foot apart. So taking 3 out would be about 6 foot total. Each 38 footish, you know, somewhere around there. So we're going to take that off, recut it, and restabilize what we've got, and that'll help kind of make it look better, but also hopefully anchor what we've got that's still in good shape down. Not only that, we have you know, this winter weather coming in. It's a beautiful day today. It's cool. I mean, it's cold, but it's not miserable. Tomorrow we're supposed to see a ton of rain. It's Selah's birthday, so we're going to, of course, go to church and spend time with her. But to be honest with you, we know there's a bad storm coming in, and that's kind of when that polar vortex is supposed to be here. The highs are like 30 and 40 next week. The lows are in the 20s, some teens. So we're going to get up some more wood. We're going to kind of put some of the lettuces and things like that that's in the high tunnel in the greenhouse. We're actually going to have to bring some probably inside because there's just not enough room, and that's why hence we're looking to build another greenhouse. And again, the reason we're trying to invest more in our farm and more in our greenhouses is because what we've realized is sometimes the atmosphere or the environment that our things are growing in may not be the best quality. Yes, we know it's natural. Yes, we're going to enjoy in-ground gardens. However, we are going to take the next step in bringing our hydroponics and a full microeconomic, full microecology in a new environment, a microclimate basically, into building another greenhouse to where we could take our whole garden and basically have inside as well. So we're going to duplicate and replicate what we already have, but it's just going to be at a very bigger scale. So we're going to start that project very soon. That's kind of Misty's big goal for the year. So 2025, we're really investing a lot more in some infrastructure. I thought we were kind of done with that on barns, and we are. But then we started thinking outside the box. Okay, if we get to the point where we're having these, you know, these crazy temperature swings, or we're having torrential downpours, or like for instance, a lot of our winter garden this year, we didn't get a great harvest on some of the greens, like lettuces, yes, but like for instance, like our turnips and mustards and collards that we would typically get, because it actually was very mild. So we didn't get the cold weather to help get some of the insects away, and of course, because we don't use any kind of chemicals, we had a lot of bug pressure this year. So I think next year what's going to help is we're going to build that second microclimate. If you know, if we're still here on this earth and we're still healthy, we're not only going to have the in-ground gardens, we're going to have the microclimates and the double garden that's going to be indoors. And I think that's going to be a game changer for us, especially as we talk about growing food. So today we're kind of prepping the old greenhouse for that, not investing in it, but tightening it down, kind of making new room for the next one that's coming in, which will be a several month process. But then we also got to kind of prepare for, you know, the winter storms coming in. We're going to get some more wood. We're actually got a little camp stove. We're going to kind of get it set up. We've already got, you can see, our new our propane bottles. That's from when we did a chicken harvest, but we filled up a ton of our propane bottles the other day. We filled up a ton of our propane bottles the other day just to kind of be ready. It's amazing. One of my family members went to town, and they said, you know, we can't even find a generator in town. And you know, that's why I don't wait till last minute. We have several generators, but even propane, they were talking about how propane went up and the canisters were high and they couldn't switch out anymore because there was a lot of them already taken from these hardware stores. Again, we live in a small town. So it was nice to say, you know what, that's why we do what we do. That's why we have what we have, so we can be prepared and have things that we need before things happen. So today is one of those days where we're getting ready for the storm, we're getting ready for the ice, and we're shoring up some of the things that need to be shored up. Misty's going to be cutting some lettuces back. We're going to be kind of tarping some areas to try to salvage some of the lettuce that's in the ground gardens and in the hugelkultur beds and things like that. So Aiden's going to come join me, and we're going to try to take those bows off, those extra arches, and shorten that greenhouse. This is what I can't stand. Look, see that? There's only one shoe. We have one dog, that always wants my shoes. And he doesn't just take him by, it's actually Aiden's dog. I told Aiden he needs to find a new home for that dog. He's pretty, but he always takes my shoe, and he doesn't take it like to his kennel. He takes it to like the cow pasture of all things. So now I gotta find my shoe before we even get started. Because I like the short boots, especially when we're just working outside and not in like some mud. So before I do anything, I gotta find a shoe to put on to make sure that I can get out and do work. Told you. Out in the yard, out in the cattle pasture, not where it needs to be. And it's only my shoes. I don't know why it's my shoes. I guess because they're just the only ones that's pretty much outside all the time, because I don't wear them in because, you know, they're kind of nasty. So, all right, so let's get to the greenhouse. I want to show you what we're going to be doing. When I say greenhouse, this is our caterpillar tunnel. It's not really a greenhouse, but that's why we're building another greenhouse, because the one we've got, we've outgrown. But we're thinking about taking some of these raised beds down and cleaning this up. But this right here, where these bows are, you can see, let me see if I can turn you around. So you can see like this one's completely cracked and broke. We'll be able to salvage the actual arch, but what they call the Gothic arch up here is snapped, it's broke. The purlins, we'll be able to save the side bracing. These are actually called wind bracing. Isn't that funny? It did not work. We're gonna get those wind bracings off and they'll be fine. This one is the one that we've got to tie to. It needs to be slid back up, but I think we can salvage it because it doesn't look like it's damaged. Well, the leg is damaged. Okay, so we're about to take that one down. So we're actually gonna go to this bow right here. So we're actually taking 3 full bows off, which is gonna be 3 full sections, which is actually gonna make it shorter. I thought we were gonna be able to get away with capping off, just doing the 2 sections, taking the 3 arches, but no, we're gonna take 3 arches, which is gonna be making about 35 foot. All right, so me and Aiden's got a game plan. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna, see, here's the line right here. So we've got to take this line, and what we're gonna do is first, before we start tearing all this down, see how right here, it's not supposed to be this loose, and that's all the wire that's supposed to be over these, but because it got kicked back, all this is loose. So we're gonna take that string and restring basically right above me and tighten this down. So that way when we make this cut of this bisqueen and we start tearing this down, that bisqueen's not gonna start flying because there's gonna be nothing holding it anymore. So we're gonna secure that down. That I think makes the most sense. Once we do that, that'll help us get these bows out. We actually, I just told you 35 foot or 34 foot roughly. This right here, this bow is okay. However, it does not have a connector like this one. So every other one of these bows has a way to connect it to the bisqueen, and this one doesn't. So if we leave this one up, it may be counterproductive because I have no way to secure the bisqueen. Whereas this one has what they call a ridge on top, and it allows me to connect it to something. So we're actually gonna be a little shorter than we think. However, what it does though, we're gonna be moving this lettuce anyway because it's cold, but it's still far enough to get these beds covered, which is the main purpose of this little caterpillar tunnel. Instead of us putting a lot of dollar bills in this thing, we're gonna sure it up, tighten it up, and sitting right here, see this is this little apple tree. It really hasn't produced much over the last few years, so we're gonna remove it, put it up there in next to the chicken barn. And this is where our new greenhouse will sit. But we've got to secure this one up first and start prepping that area for that. So I think what we're going to do is tighten it all up first here at this purlin, this set, and then start working our way back and start tearing this thing down. So we're on the opposite side and see how this is not supposed to be this loose. This is where we've got to have the problem fixed first. So this is the starting point, and what we'll do is go ahead and string it and tighten it all the way to the point of where we're gonna be. And then from there, that way we know the greenhouse, the structure that we're keeping will be safe before, because if we start cutting, what we're gonna see is this bisqueen fly. And if you've ever put a greenhouse together, it's miserable trying to do that in the wind, and it's windy today because of the storm. This is the lettuce we gotta cover up. Now, you cannot tell me that's not absolute gorgeous lettuce right there. So we've got cabbage, onions, lettuce, several different varieties of lettuce, some spinach, some kale on the far side. We also have some other like Napa cabbages and things like that. So a lot there. Some arugula growing over here. I mean, we have tons of food. We know this, the strawberries will be safe. We're not worried about them. We know some of this other stuff may die in 20 degrees, but there's nothing we can really do about that. But we're just trying to get this secure, cover this, put the buckets of lettuce in the greenhouse, and that way once this is all over, we still have fresh greens that we're eating.
Yeah, I can read the signs. You need to get away. It's time we make a change. Oh, you know you'll always have.
Are you doing those? All right, so we got that. So we got it all connected back to right here. We've unscrewed this, so I've got to take this apart, but now at least this frame is tightened. It's a lot shorter than we wanted, but see, what we're gonna do is try to put a face on this and make a wall to actually secure this a little bit better. And that way we have this little mini caterpillar tunnel that's gonna be about 35 foot long. This will come off. I'm not saying we can't, again, reclaim some of this, but all of this has got damaged parts on it. And you see how they're just bent all the way through up. So we've got it completely secured over here. All that's been done. We're gonna leave this excess in out until we see what we're gonna do. We gotta connect this side to make sure it doesn't come off. So we got one more of those S-curves over there. Aiden's finishing taking off the top. We got 2 arches done. These 2 bows are the worst. These 2 arches are the worst. Those 2 we make and salvage and use somewhere. These 2 are pretty much gone. So we're gonna go ahead and break these down and at least get them over there with that old trampoline and just kind of get it out of the way. And then we've got a 35 foot caterpillar tunnel instead of a 50, but at least we tighten this one up. I know it's not ideal, but if we put a face on this and put a face on the back, and what we're doing is securing that, and it's still a caterpillar tunnel, but it becomes what they call a cold tunnel, which allows us to still grow. It puts a lot of hotness in there, but there's no way you can really do a heating system in there. So it's good. It's just another way we can grow, again, to keep from losing so many crops to environment. So we've got that greenhouse done. You see Misty's in there kind of tying up some loose ends. We got the lettuce moved. If you see, I'm dragging a piece of fence. While we were doing all this, one of the little lambs got out, and now you don't know how to go back in. There's a spot right by the gate. We knew that was going to be troublesome, especially for the lambs, but they hadn't got out, and all of a sudden, one day that we had other projects going on, they get out. So we got to go handle that. So I'm gonna put this in the back of the Ranger. I'm gonna walk around because he's between the chicken barn and the house. So I'm gonna walk around by the chicken barn. Aiden's gonna drive up this so that way we can get that lamb in. A lamb is hard to get in because they're not trained. They're not with their herd, so they go crazy. And I don't want them breaking fence or jumping through the fence or us trying to wrangle them up somehow. So I'm gonna go one way and Aiden's gonna go the other. So he is, if you see him, he's right there. And he's trying to get back in, but he can't figure out how to get in. These animals, I tell you what, for the most part, like the older animals, if they get out, it's not that bad. Like for instance, the kids left one of the gates open to the dairy cows while they were playing with the balls on the trampoline. They didn't know the cows were in that fence in their night, except for at night when I moved the mamas over. Well, this is that paddock, and they left the fence open. Well, the next morning I came out, which would have been yesterday morning, I came out of the house, and lo and behold, I see a gate open. I'm like, oh my gosh. So instead of milking it for her, I'm trying to find cows. So what I did, I just kept whistling. They know their call, and eventually one cow came, and then the other cow, it started bellowing, so I knew it was close. So we went on through the milking process with the first one. The second one came on in, no issue. But when you talk about calves, or you talk about lambs, or animals that are not trained, or the following part of the herd and not the leader part of the herd, then you get dumb animals. So sheep are pretty good when they're all together. I can run them and they'll all stay together and they'll go wherever I go. if it's one sheep by itself or one lamb by itself, especially if it's not Daisy or Lamb, which is our 2 leaders, then it could be very troublesome. And they're ignorant. So it got out of the fence and it can go in the same way it got out, which is by the gate. But it's just not smart enough and competent enough to go in the same way it came. So I'm walking around the whole other side of the lake area, going on the back side of the chicken barn, crossing the dam, so Aiden could stay right there, try to get the sheep wrangled in, because what's going to happen is when Aiden pulled up right there, it jetted all the way up to the chicken barn. So I'm going to push it back towards the road. It can't go anywhere because it's between me and Aiden. Look at those geese. If you hadn't watched that video about me having about 30 or 40 little goslings here, it's amazing. We still have a ton. We still have probably about 20. Look at them, they're all flying. In that last video, it's amazing how God creates these creatures, because in that last video, they couldn't fly. They were just sitting on the water. So if you scared them, they just kind of scuttled around the water. Now they can actually fly. So some of them have flown off, but the majority have stayed here. About 20, 25 have stayed here. All right, so we're over here at the back side. Now I'm not showing you this, but on this dam, this was the other damage that we had. We had some trees fall, and I just hadn't made my way over here to fix it, but one of these pine here fell. Luckily, it fell but didn't break my fence. But here's it. So we gotta get this mess up. And you see it hit the fence but didn't harm it. So it's one of those cases where, you know, it's another mess for another day, because it's not made anything vulnerable, other than our spillway is kind of dirty now because it's just fell and made this mess. So we're gonna walk across the spillway, the dam. All right, we're at the back side of the chicken barn. Now let's see if we can get this lamb in. See, Aiden's got the gate open, holding the other one's open, but you see where the little lamb is outside? Livy's right there. So if I put pressure on this side, it has nowhere to go. Put in the gate with the other sheep. They're going in. So our little 4-year-old actually helped Aiden get it in while I was walking, so it actually worked out really good. Did Livy help? All right, so this is where the gate is just high. It's a cattle gate. So it's got about 1.5 foot clearance on the bottom. And again, they have to bend down to get to it, but they can go in the same way. But again, animals are not smart. So they got in but couldn't get out. So what we're gonna do is put a piece going across there. It'll look kind of janky, but at least we know they're not getting out. Something that we should have done already and we just didn't have time to do. It wasn't that big of a deal. Now lamb's out, it becomes a big deal. It's just part of another day that we have to just kind of put something over a plan that we hadn't thought about doing. So now we don't have to worry about it. They can't get out. Well, we say that, I never want to put it past sheep, but they can't get out. We're gonna move this. We kind of have this feed trough in the way just for the time being. But now I'll be able to haul that back to the cows. So, all right, that's done. Stuff is moved. Now we just gotta get some wood. I think first we're gonna eat, and then we'll worry about getting some lunch done, and then we'll pick up some wood for the cold weather coming in. So we're finishing up the day. We've got all that bedding that was underneath the chickens, all the corners crossed. We took their bedding and put in our garden here, and then cleaned out right under the rabbits. So all that's been done. We've got some fresh bedding put down. We'll put a little bit more. It's getting dark and it's supposed to flood. I still have to move a bale of hay to the rabbits. And after I move a bale of hay to the rabbits, I've got to move a bale of hay to the pigs and also the cows again. All that's got to be done before this winter blast comes in. So you see, we just never stop. It's just a lot of prep here when you have animals and when you have everything going on with cold weather. We've got all this bedding removed, cleaned up, finished up. Next week we got to take these hog out and the steer out, go and process them. A busy week ahead, but we had to get it done before all this crazy weather comes in, and that way we know they're all safe. Guys, thank you so much for watching. We hope that you have a wonderful evening and hunker down with this crazy storm coming. Miss Mac is finishing cleaning off the manure off the off the tires.
Okay, I don't want it going down the driveway, so I'm gonna wash the tires off.
I know, so it's nasty from being in the gardens and also in the manure. So it's all done. We're fixing to wrap it up for the night, light a fire because it's gonna get cold with the rains coming in. We thank you for being a part of our family and our life. We hope that you enjoy our channel. God bless you and your family. Until the next time.